Talking of the football, tonight we are joined by a comedian whose hit song from the 90s is back in the charts. Oh, of course, it's David Baddiel! How are you? Although, to be fair, it could have been Frank Skinner, couldn't it?
It could have been Frank Skinner or Ian Brody. He's not a comedian. But I think that football, at the moment, isn't quite coming home, is it? It's sort of not even packed its suitcase.
Well, it's early days, David.
Yeah, we don't know.
Let's look on the bright side.
There's been 3 games, but nonetheless, let's hope.
This is why we're out of our depth. We knew. Well, David will be telling us why he can't lie, and as a result, he's revealed one-to-many family secrets in his brand new memoir.
Also coming up, David will be joined by a legend of British broadcasting whose career has seen her chat to the likes of Sir Elton John, Audrey Hepburn and Betty Davis. And tonight, Gloria Hunniford will be chatting about one of her much-loved interviews with Hollywood heroine Doris Day from 1995, which is being shown on the BBC this week. She'll be telling us more later on in the show.
But first, now then, David, back to the song. The song, again, of the moment. Can you remember the first time you heard it at Wembley and how you felt?
Yeah, completely. The song came out, it went to #1, very exciting, but then it got knocked off by the Fugees. Me and Frank Skinner thought...
Fugees, come on.
It's exciting, but still, we thought it was over. Then England, again, like now, we're not playing well. Again, they're disappointed. Then we drew with Switzerland. Then second game of that tournament, we're playing Scotland. Not very good in the first half. Then Gary McAllister misses a penalty. Gazza scores one of the best goals of all time. We win 2-0. As the team go off, the DJ puts on the song and the whole crowd joined in. Well, not 5,000 Scottish fans, not them. But apart from them, the whole crowd joins in. And it was such an unbelievable moment because we didn't know at that point, me and Frank, that the nation had taken our song to heart. You know, people say that the best day of your life is when your children are born. Forget that. That was the best day of my life.
That sounds absolutely magical.
It's not true, children. It's not true. It was a joke.
Even recounting it sounds magical.
No, it was amazing. It was so brilliant.
Incredible. What an experience.
Enjoying the football.
Yeah. Wasn't it thrilling?
I love the fact. You're clearly a Newcastle United fan.
I didn't know that about you.
Showing
Bradford City.
Oh, OK. Let's not focus on England. Let's look at unlucky, plucky Scotland, because they are home from Germany after failing to manifest their destiny and make it past the first round. Worse, some of their fans paid thousands of pounds months in advance to see the game, only to end up watching it on a big screen in the middle of a German city. This is all down to a company called Football Road Trips Limited, which effectively rebranded as EFX, the European Football Experience, last year. Run by a chap called Kai Rigby. What it offers seems pretty impressive. Travel, accommodation, tour guide, even the chance to meet ex-professional players, that's what you want, right? That's the good stuff. Recently, though, we've had a squad full of people getting in touch about them. Let me introduce Watchdog Wanderers FC. First up is #1, Ryan, there between the sticks. No way was Scotland fan Ryan going to miss his team playing in a major tournament. That's exactly what happened, though. Way back in December, he spent £2,800 on a package for 4 people to see Scotland play Switzerland. With a few weeks to go, though, the tour just got cancelled.
Devastating. But did Ryan get to Germany?
Well, he did, but he had to spend even more money rebooking the flights and accommodation himself. He didn't manage to get tickets into the stadium, but he managed to watch it in the town square in Cologne instead with his son, Logan. There they are. They made the best of it, right?
Well, yeah, they probably did, but it's not what they wanted, is it?
It's not the full experience. And, you know, we've been hearing from other fans as well. Let's call up Matt Smith from the bench.
Not Matt Smith.
The Matt Smith?
It's not former Doctor Who Matt Smith, although I'm sure this one would also like to time travel back to December 2022 when he started to pay £1,388 in instalments for a football experience last Premiership season. The experience did not happen, and he's been chasing his money for months. Tonight, Kai Rigby of EFX tells us that the company is going into liquidation. However, despite that, it's initiated refunds. Customers who haven't already been refunded will be within the next 48 hours. He says the company deeply regrets the inconvenience caused to anyone who did not receive their tour.
So this looks like a win for Team Watchdog, Matt.
It's full 3 points, David.
Well done.
Yeah, because after we got involved, both Matt and Ryan have received a full refund.
Oh,
it's an absolute screamer into the top right-hand corner in the last minute of extra time. Can I get a goal?
Go!
Back of the net.
You're really pushing this metaphor, aren't you?
It's not really a metaphor. I suppose it is.
No, it is a metaphor.
It is a kind
It's not actually a game of football.
But you know how important it is for fans.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, it is
Especially
really
for
awful.
Scotland
Actually,
fans.
I mean, although some Scotland fans might have thought, oh, good, I didn't get to see the game. But nonetheless, I think that it's terrible. It's like I actually have myself, back in the day, done the same thing where I've paid for a package and it hasn't been at all what it was supposed to be. There's a lot of that stuff goes on with football packages. So I think it is really great that you managed to shine some light on
Well, and we've got some money back, and the company's had its say as well, but keep in touch with us about that. Also, finally, travel giant Love Holidays. It's got a bit of bother because FTI Group, the parent brand of 2 of its suppliers, has got into insolvency. Its suppliers operate under the names You Travel and Meeting Point. And if you've got a Love Holidays booking, you need to be checking if any part of your holiday has been affected.
Yeah, because the thing is, it is getting close to the school holidays, so people would be looking forward to their holiday at this point, won't they?
Yeah, we're getting to the really important bit.
Nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty, the moment. The first thing to do is to check your Love Holidays dashboard. It will have a notification which states whether your booking has been affected by this or not. Love Holidays says it's doing everything it can to make sure that if it can't provide the holiday as described, suitable alternatives are also made available. Of course, what you think is suitable might not be the same as what they think is suitable, so get onto this as soon as possible. And don't forget, with all package travel, a significant change to your holiday triggers a full refund if you want it under package travel regulations.
Oh, thanks, Matt.
Good advice.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he? Fingers crossed for everyone's holidays. Still to come, the BBC is featuring a classic interview by broadcaster Gloria Hunniford this week, and soon she'll be telling us why spending time with the late, great Doris Day back in 1995 was one of her career highlights. There they are on the beach.
Yeah. But now then, David, you have also been delving into the past with this memoir based on family secrets. Now, you have done a stand-up based on this, but it's different, isn't it? Committing it on black and white to paper.
Yeah, well, also I go much deeper. I got the time, and I've got the research, and I've got lots and lots of things, letters and all sorts of things that I can put in the book that I couldn't put in the stand-up show. It's also, you know, I'm not so worried about, like, oh, I must keep them laughing. It is a funny book, but it's also, I think, at times a heartbreaking book, and it's also an examination for me. You know, to, like, in terms of, like you were saying, who do you think you are? I mean, it's a book that tries to find out who I am through finding out exactly who my parents were.
Yeah.
You reveal a lot, and you talk a lot about your mother, Sarah, in the book, and you reveal that she had a love affair, which she was open about. Does this explain why you went into the career that you went into, David?
Well, to some extent, because, like, it could be a misery memoir, I guess, if you were to hear, like, my mother had an affair and blah, 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 blah. But actually, the point is, my mother specifically, I should say, had an affair with a golfing memorabilia salesman, and then overnight turned our lives and our house over to golfing memorabilia.
What's this?
There she
Explain
is.
this photograph.
Yeah, now that's my mum in our front room with some of her golfing memorabilia collection. She wrote 5 books about golfing memorabilia. She basically showed this bloke who she was in love with, that she was in love with him, by setting up a rival golfing memorabilia business. That was how my mum chose to express her love.
Great character.
And that's why it can't be a misery memoir, because I could be in therapy, but the minute I'm saying to the therapist, it was basically about golf, they're going to laugh, aren't they?
Yeah, I love the sound of your mum. And the lovely thing is, you're looking at her as a fully formed human instead of sometimes how we look at our parents and we just see a little bit of them.
Well, actually, I mean, it was inspired to some extent, both the show, but the book especially, by at my mum's funeral, all these people come up to me and doing the thing that people do at funerals, which you can understand, which is saying she was a wonderful, wonderful woman. And after all, I wanted to say, did you know her? Right? Because that's what people say.
In what way was she wonderful?
In what way was she wonderful? And because that's what we say. But the trouble is that erases people, I think, out of existence a second time. Because actually, if we just idealise people after they've gone, we lose who they actually were. So this book is a celebration of who my parents were by saying they were very, very flawed.
Well, this clip from Who Do You Think You Are, and you mentioned it earlier, just sums her up brilliantly.
Well,
Here she is with your birthday cake on your 40th.
I should say, I was 40, and certainly no one had told my mum that after a certain age, maybe 14, you don't actually have the same amount of candles on a cake as your actual age, because it's a fire hazard. And as you can see, it ends up like she's made me a recreation of the bombing of Dresden on a cake for my birthday. And that says everything about my mother, to some extent, which is that she was just a crazy and wild person.
Yeah, but we're big fans. You've also got a couple of brothers as well, and you're so revealing. How did you broach the subject with them?
Well, because I always thought, like, the only people who really matter, they're gone, my parents. The people who matter are the people you tell the stories for, which are people who are alive, my brothers. And so I went to speak to both of them, and they weren't sure. But my older brother, Ivor, who I'm very, very connected to, said, look, I know you. What is this about? And I said, I think it's an act of love. And he came and saw the first night of the show, and I was worried about him. And I came out after the show, and I said to the audience, I'm not taking any questions or doing anything until I hear what my older brother thinks. I said, Ivor, what did you think? And I heard his voice say, oh, I loved it. And he said, I loved it because it felt like she was in the room.
Oh, David.
And I thought that is what I was trying to achieve, you know, that she's real. You know, she's actually there.
I've got goosebumps. David's book, My Family, is out next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
David. Now, Gloria Hunniford has a real treat for us because she's gone back through the BBC archives to bring us her fascinating interview with a Hollywood great of the 50s and 60s, the late Doris Day.
Now, after retiring from film in 1968, Doris spent most of her time away from the cameras until 1995, when she agreed to sit down with Gloria for a programme all about her life.
This special episode is being shown on BBC4 tomorrow, and in just a moment, Gloria will be here sharing her memories of how it all came about. But first, let's take a look at the pair chatting about her iconic voice.
Over the years, you've had this very distinctive way of singing and also can deliver a lyric better than anybody else. But was that an instinctive thing, or did somebody teach you how to interpret lyrics?
Most of it would be instinct, I would think. But my vocal coach in Cincinnati, she used to say to me, sing like you're singing to one person, but everyone out there will think he or she is the one.
Just hold me tight and tell me you'll miss me.
Oh, let's welcome Gloria to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Looking beautiful in red.
Well, she was beautiful, and I wanted to be Doris Day when I was growing up, because I started singing when I was 7. So I knew all the songs. We had nothing to do in my small town in Northern Ireland, but go to the pictures, as we called them. I knew every film. Then, as I got older, I wanted the clothes, because it was always beautifully dressed. And as I got older again, the men were always fantastic. You know, Clark Gable, Rock Hudson, etc., etc. And so she was an icon to me, and an icon to everybody else.
But she kept herself out of the limelight for so many years. And then, is it right, you just got a phone call to say, do you want to interview her?
Well, a friend of mine, Jackie Gill, who was in the record business, rang me up one day and she said, how would you like to interview Doris Day? And I went, yeah, of course. Hadn't given an interview from 1968, when her husband Marty died. And then she said, no, it's true. They found a record of hers that's lost since the 60s, and she wants to talk about it. So I said, right, so of course, when do I go? She said, in the morning.
Great.
So I went in the morning. The only prep I had was everything that I could read on the plane journey. But when I got there, her son, Terry, he said, if my mum's makeup artist doesn't come from Hollywood in the morning, she won't do the interview. And I'm thinking, I've come all this way.
Yeah.
And but anyway, she turned up, thankfully. And she was so open, because there were tough questions to ask her. I mean, she was always regarded as the girl next door. The men all fancied her. Girls wanted to be her. And she had a rough time. You know, she was a beaten housewife, if you like, in her first marriage. And so, in a way, I think I was a bit naive coming from Northern Ireland, so I just asked her what about being a battered wife, which wasn't sort of the thing really in those days. So she was very open.
But what was your impression? Because obviously you were really excited about meeting her. You'd loved her all your life.
Yes.
What was the exchange like?
Well, it was really interesting. You know, sometimes you get fazed by a big name, but there's something in my body that doesn't allow me to be phased because I'm so excited about it. I want to do it as best I can.
Yeah.
And so in she came to the room, and apart from being a little bit thicker in the middle, and aren't we all sometimes, she was the same. She was the same. She was the beautiful blonde hair, the polo neck, the white polo neck, very flattering, hides a multitude of sins up here. She looked the same, and she was very open and very warm. And in fact, the producer of BBC 4 tomorrow night, he thought that we had met before and prepped it all, but we hadn't.
And I think that says a lot about you, Gloria, and your skill at bringing out the best in people when you interview them. But is it true that her pets were off limits?
They were. She wouldn't tell me how many dogs she had. I mean, it's well known that she's very fond of animals, but I did hear down the line that she had at least 22 at the time.
Really?
But she didn't admit that on the screen.
That's a
However,
lot.
she does admit that they had a kitchen for the dogs, they had 2 chefs for the dogs, and they served the meals for the dogs on red gingham mats.
Wow.
Lucky
Champion.
dogs. My goodness.
But she was just so open and warm and funny.
I think, do people know now what a massive star she was? I think she's such a big star in her
Big
time,
star.
wasn't she?
She was definitely iconic.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of young people, perhaps, though they still play her films, because accidentally I saw one of her films about 2 weeks ago, Pillow Talk. So she just was one of those people that I think men and women could identify with in different ways.
Yeah.
But I loved her.
You've interviewed so many amazing people. What other standouts are there?
I want to say that I'm very lucky to have done that.
Yes.
I did a programme called Sunday Sunday, and we had Betty Davis, again, a screen icon. And normally, a crew will have seen it, done it, got the T-shirt. And when she came in that day, there was total silence because she is still so iconic. Baby Jane, all of those films. But I was told that I wasn't allowed to touch her. In chat shows you go along and you go, kissy, kissy. And they said, no, you must walk with your arm out, like you feel a right idiot walking like this. And if she wants to touch your arm, she will. And if not, you must just walk back like this. But at one point, I loved it because she said, I won't use the word she said, because of tea time, but she just said, are you ever going to talk about the book? Because that's the only reason I've come. And then on another story, she said she was at the Palladium and somebody shouted from the audience to say, hey, have you ever had a facelift? She said, come up. Just come up here. She said, have a good look. Don't you think I'd look better if I had a facelift? So,
Brilliant.
Bearing in mind that she was quite a strict person, again, she was so fascinating and interesting and very happy to tell the stories. So I've been lucky.
Yeah. Well, we've had a great night because we've got Gloria Hunniford on our sofa today. And David, of course. You can watch Gloria Hunniford Remembers Doris Day tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock on BBC 4 and iPlayer with a full Pebble Mill interview straight afterwards at 8:15.
It's been a lovely evening, hasn't it?
Thank you.
That's all we've got time for tonight. So thank you so much to our guest, to David.
Thank you.
Gloria.
And thank you to you, Anita. We've had a wonderful 3 days.
Yes.
Are you excited about Glastonbury?
I am. I need to get in the car and get myself down there.
She's heading there now.
Straight there.
Roman and I are back tomorrow on BBC One with Celia Imrie and Stacey Dooley. We'll see you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.